So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. I will give a few seconds, a few moments for everybody to join. We have quite a lot of registrants for this webinar, so we'll give like a half a minute or so for everybody to join the webinar. And in the meanwhile, please share in the chat where are you joining from. So I already see people joining from Sweden, Latvia, Ireland, Italy. So everybody feel free to tell where are you joining from so that I would have a better impression on the geography of the participants. All right, Norway, Spain. Oh, so that's pretty much all the Europe that we have on this webinar. UK, Denmark, Estonia, very nice. All right, I'll just check with my team how many participants do we have already. Okay, so Macedonia, Faroe Islands. Oh, welcome from Faroe Islands. Belgium, Finland. That's very nice. All right, so I guess we have a pretty much Europe covered from the participants' point of view. So maybe let's just start rolling the webinar. So today's webinar is called Tips and Tricks that will help to move your customer to the cloud. So I hope that once you are joining, you know Companial company. For those who don't know, I'll present firstly Companial company and then I'll present myself. So I represent Companial, and in Companial we work with the Microsoft Dynamics partners around the world, mostly Europe, but also around the world. We do a lot of good things together with our Dynamics partners, and we want to be a preferred community of all the Dynamics partners around the world. So we have 200 plus employees specialized in Microsoft Dynamics. We sell licenses, we provide trainings, we provide consulting, and many other things. And besides that, we also do a lot of technical services to our partners around the world. That's why we have quite a substantial experience in this area, such as upgrades, development on NAV, BC, Power Platform, finance and operations, and so on. We also ourselves, we have a hosting platform to host our partner customer installations around the world. And we'll touch upon that a little bit during this webinar, not that much, but still. So therefore, we have pretty solid experience in many areas of Dynamics products family, right? Both technical and business and licensing and consulting and training and so more. And thus today we want to share some of the experience that we have gathered, some of the feedback that we've got from the customers and partners around the world with you. So myself, I am Rimvidas Saulis. I'm the cloud business line lead in Companial. So basically we provide services to our partners to host their installations in the cloud. So that's why I felt that it would be very nice to share with the partners and participants in this webinar about the tips and tricks that we see when moving the Dynamics customers to the cloud. Before we go into the discussion, I would like to open up a very quick survey to the participants so that I would have a better understanding what is the profile of today's webinar participants. So whether you are a Dynamics partner or you are a Dynamics customer, or maybe you are joining from some else profile, but you're still interested in this topic. So I'd like to run the survey. So please have a few moments to answer the survey. Hope you can see the survey on the screen. Okay, so I see the answers already coming in. All right. So I see that the vast majority of the participants are Microsoft Dynamics partners. So once again, welcome. I hope you will find the topic very familiar to you, and you probably will be able to share your own experience during the webinar. We'll also ask about your feedback. What are the challenges that you are facing moving your customers to the cloud? We'll also see some of the Microsoft Dynamics and EVO BC end customers. Definitely, it will be useful. I hope for the end customer as well. And as well, we have a couple of participants who are neither partner nor end customer, but still interested in the topic. So welcome to the webinar. So what are we going to discuss today? So before sharing the tips and tricks how to move your customers to the cloud, we have to basically start from the fundamentals, right? So why do we think, and by saying we, I mean us as a companion, you as a partner, Microsoft maybe also participating in this webinar as a software vendor. So why do we think that cloud is good for the customer? What are the benefits, in our opinion, that customers should get when moving to the cloud, right? So if we're not clear what kind of benefits we are offering to the customer, it would be very unlikely that customer would understand those benefits only themselves and just move to the cloud without any involvement of Dynamics partner, right? So we're Dynamics ecosystem is very much based on the indirect channel, meaning the Dynamics partners, they serve the end customers, and therefore all the customer discussions regarding cloud is probably happening with more or less with a partner involved. So yeah, so we need to basically get back to the basics and try to understand very clearly why they think cloud is good for the customer, what's the benefit of that. But then, we will discuss now. So why our customers are not going to the cloud, right? We will see the benefits of the cloud. But since you are Dynamics partners, most of you on this call, and interested in this topic, I'm sure you face some challenges, at least with some of the customers, when moving them or persuading them to move to the cloud. So we'll discuss what are the key reasons, what are the concerns, what are the showstoppers, challenges that the end customers are facing going to the cloud, and maybe that's slowing their cloud migration, or maybe it's just the showstopper for them to even continue discussion on the going to the cloud. So we need to understand the reasons behind the customer decision as well, and then of course we will talk how can we overcome those challenges or showstoppers, and what can we do as a Dynamics partner community together to help those customers and basically to help them realize the value of the cloud, right? So we'll discuss a lot about that too. So I hope the agenda basically meets your expectations, and yeah, and let's continue talking. So by the way, this webinar is definitely interactive one. So there's a chat which you already started using when posting which country are you from. So feel free to post the questions in the chat or in the Q&A box. We'll see whether I will be taking the questions during the presentation or maybe at the end. We'll see how will it go. But no questions will left unanswered. If there will be some questions that I would not be able to answer, we'll definitely will contact you after the webinar and answer you that. So feel free to post your questions. We'll do our best to answer them right now. If not, no question will be left unanswered. All right, so let's start from as said now, from the beginning. So why we think it is beneficial for the customers to move to the cloud, right? It's both our opinion as a Microsoft Dynamics partner. It's an opinion of Microsoft as a software vendor, and in many cases is also a generic opinion of the whole market about the cloud benefit. So let's start from there. For those who think all those reasons why to move to the cloud, that I guess it would be a good repetition of some of the items. All right. So first one, of course, the big benefit of moving to the cloud is the classic one. There are no hardware investments, right? I believe most of the conversations about the cloud, they start from thinking about this benefit that customer, or maybe even the partner serving this customer, will have no hardware investments anymore in terms of the Dynamics Business Central installation and provision. Of course, customer will still have a lot of hardware. I'm sure they will have the Wi-Fi routers, or the PCs and mouses and projectors and so on, but probably not that much of a service as they used to have when having the on-premise installations. So yeah, no hardware. I guess this is pretty straightforward. The scalability and performance, this is also very important one, and also very important in the Dynamics world, because usually the scalability of the current hardware and current infrastructure is either built on some average criteria, so to handle such amount of the queries and so on, or maybe sometimes it is designed to handle the maximum, the peak amounts. And that definitely means if your hardware, if your infrastructure is designed to handle the peak amounts, then probably 99% of the time it would just be unutilized and so to say, money wasted. In other situations, if you have your hardware basically and your infrastructure configured for some minimum or some average loads, then if you have a peak load, say Christmas sale or something like that, or tax declaration, then you may face the difficulty when scaling your infrastructure and achieving the performance that you need at that moment. So many again customers, they feel that pain of the particular moment, and that's why we think that moving to the cloud is basically would be able to help in such kind of the situations. From one side to have the right performance and right scale when it is needed. On the other side, not to overspend on your infrastructure at the moments when maybe that much performance is not needed. So in cloud, it's generally it should be not a headache of a customer to think about that scalability of performance in most of the cases. So that is once again the benefit of the movement to the cloud. Then the maintenance of the system and of the infrastructure is, well, usually, if not always, done by the vendor. So one less of a headache for the end customer, and in some cases for the partner to think of, right? Right. The easier and faster deployment also, in most of the cases to deploy in cloud, the installation is probably takes a few clicks, so to say, if it's built in the right way, and it's much easier and much faster to deploy. Not only because of those few clicks, but also because of the standardization level that is basically so let's say enforced in the cloud installations, right? So It is also connected with the fact that you would be running on the latest version always, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so latest technology and the newest version. So from our and from the, of course, vendor perspective, it is always beneficial to run on the newest version of the software, right? And on of the technology. Why is that? Well, many reasons. We'll not go into very detail of that, but no, it could be a latest functionality, it could be less bugs, it could be definitely security improvements, it could be any kind of improvements that are released with the newest version, right? So you are always up to date. Therefore, you don't have a headache of very complicated and costly projects of the upgrade. And for those who are Microsoft Dynamics partners, and here we have been doing the upgrades of the on-premise installations, you know that the longer you basically postpone the upgrade, the more complicated it may be. Well, in the cloud, you should always be running on the newest version. That sounds very nice, but sometimes it might be not that nice from the customer point of view, which we will talk about that a little bit later. All right, pay-per-use, a little bit connected with the scalability and performance, but mostly you very easily can increase the number of users or upscale or downscale your installation when using in the cloud, right? So we saw a huge increase of the demand of the cloud installations and cloud deployments during the COVID time, right? When some of the business were booming, like e-commerce, right? So they were like increasing their business, and the installations grew very fast, and because of the basically cloud technology, they were able to scale and pay for the better performance, more users. In some cases, some business was struggling, obviously, during the COVID time, so they had to unfortunately downscale, maybe to reduce number of users. And again, the cloud technology helped them to basically only to pay only for what they actually use. So this flexibility and basically paying only for what you use definitely is the benefit of the cloud too, if not one of the biggest benefits. Then the integration of full Microsoft stack for those who are basically looking at the news with every new release of Microsoft Business Central, you see that it's not only some functionality that is enhanced in every release, it is also the integration with full Microsoft stack to make it easier to integrate with the BI, to make it easier to integrate with Team, with the Power Apps, well, you name it. It's getting more and more integrated. So for those who know how to utilize those integrations with a full Microsoft stack, that's definitely an advantage. And for those customers who are, well, basically keen to use the latest technology and to realize those benefits of the Microsoft stack, well, using the cloud version is obviously beneficial. On the other side, what we also see from our experience, the most of the investments and most of the innovations from the Microsoft side, from the vendor side, now goes to the cloud version, while no on-premise version is still live. And I believe there are so many customers and so many new customers of on-premise installations, so that on-premise version is still maintained. But no doubt, more focus from the R&D point of view, from the vendor point of view, goes to the cloud version, without no doubt. Apps and app source, of course, now the app source is getting bigger and bigger, and you can use and you can choose probably thousands of apps already on the app source and deploy pretty easily if you're using the latest cloud technologies. And last but not least, security. When talking about cloud, the security topic is always there. I mean, we probably started talking about cloud, I don't know, 10 years ago. was when Microsoft Office 365 started and many other cloud products started. Security topic was always there, and I believe it will still be for a long time to come. So security definitely is something that we believe that is better solved, better secured while using cloud technologies. Well, some customers may have a little bit different opinion, or may have some of the doubts about that, or concerns about that, or maybe they're not really clear about that. So this is once more topic for the discussion when talking about the cloud. But generally speaking, security in the cloud is definitely the amount of the investments that is put onto the security by the vendors like Microsoft and other worldwide vendors are just incredible. I doubt that any of the customers around the world can invest such an amount, such a technologies in terms of the security. No, if the offering is not secure, it would take only one unhappy customer to ruin the whole reputation of the whole cloud service. So therefore, security it should be topic for the discussion. The cloud vendors they definitely invest a lot into the security. While security at the end of the day is not only the question or the problem of the service or cloud provider, right? It is always also the big question about the procedures and the technologies that is used on the end customer side, right? If you write, say, their password on the sticky note and just stick it to your PC, well, then probably whatever security technology you would use, that would not help to make the whole system secure. So many good reasons, as we see, many good reasons to for the customers to have very little doubt that cloud is something beneficial, and they basically make sense for them to go to the cloud, right? So all of those reasons are valid. And I believe many of you have basically discussed those reasons with your customers as well. So, but while you are in this webinar, I believe that you are still facing some challenges discussing the customer migration to the cloud. And believe me, you are not the only ones who have faced the challenges. I'm pretty sure challenges are being faced by most of the Dynamics partners around the world. Maybe some of the markets are more, I would say, cloud-centric, and they have started adapting cloud, the whole concept and technologies and everything from cloud a little bit earlier. Some of the countries may have some natural, I would say, challenges adopting cloud. Say maybe some internet connection might not be that good in some of the very remote areas, but nevertheless, you have faced those challenges around the world. And from our perspective, as I showed in the beginning of the presentation, we work with probably 1,000 partners, Microsoft Dynamics partners around the world. So we get a lot of feedback, and we work with many of them to help to overcome those challenges. From my perspective, I see a couple of challenges that customers are facing. So one of them could be some business doubts when going to the cloud, and the second one is the technical challenge. Of course, I will not be able to discuss every single challenge that customers are facing when moving to the cloud, but from my perspective, those are the pretty typical ones that I would like to check with you, to show to you, and then we'll talk what other ways to basically overcome them and to help our customers. So let's start from some business doubts that customers may have when thinking or planning their migration to the cloud. So first of all, the TCO, total cost of ownership, for the customers of moving to the cloud is sometimes not very clear, right? There might be some mistakes when when making those TCO calculations, especially if customer have done their hardware investments and they see that, okay, so every month I need to pay this and that to the service provider, and maybe in like 2 or 3 years it wouldn't make sense for me to have my business central in the cloud. Maybe I should stay with the on-premise, right? It's always the matter when we talk with some financial guys who count the money from the customer point of view. So TCO calculation is very important, and it can be shaped in pretty many ways, right? I'm sure it is possible to prove that with some TCO calculators that cloud is beneficial. In some cases that it's not beneficial, but TCO stands for the name total cost of ownership, right? And it should include not only maybe some hardware investments, not only monthly payments for the service for the licenses, but most importantly, which we see in many cases neglected when calculating TCO, especially from the end customer side, there are two aspects that are neglected. So first one is the utilization of their own resources, of their own especially technical resources. And I'm not saying that with the cloud they will need no less technical people, right? Or some of the administrators can be laid off. That's not the conversation that you as a partner would like to have with a customer. No, not at all. It's more of a conversation what bigger value the IT people can give to the end customer, rather than maintaining the infrastructure and the service behind business central installation. So there are so many more value added projects that IT people can add value to the company overall than maintaining those servers and maintaining the installations, right? IT people, I'm pretty sure you have the situation the same anywhere you're coming from. IT people are definitely deficit now. Every IT knowledgeable IT person is definitely a big value to the company, but I'm pretty sure that it can provide more value than just managing the service. So this is one thing that is very frequently I would say neglected when thinking about the TCO. The second thing is the security. Sometimes it is hard to calculate the total cost of ownership of security, no doubt. But in case of some security incident, it seems that no money is big enough to solve those incidents. But I have probably to disappoint you that TCO calculation is somewhat a separate topic. I believe we will have a separate, maybe a blog post or webinar about this theme sometimes in the future. So let's maybe continue with some other doubts and some other fears that customers may have. The other, which I already started touching upon, is the security and privacy concerns from the end customers, right? It still might be some of the misunderstanding, whether my data in the cloud is secure, whether the customer private data that is stored on the cloud is secured enough. Definitely this needs to be explained to the end customer and ensured using different kind of the certificates, methodologies, and so on. I'll talk about that a little bit at the later stage. Hardware investments, this is the tough one, right? So if customer have just purchased the new hardware for new service for their business central installation, maybe they have upgraded the hardware, I don't know, half a year ago, it would be definitely a tough decision or tough conversation to think of those hardware investments that they made and moving to the cloud and what to do with that hardware. And the last one, we can say it's a business doubt, and I'm throwing this basically stone to the Microsoft Dynamics partner community. is that the partner is not that much interested moving the customer to the cloud, right? Again, since you are most of the Dynamics partners and you are interested in this topic, I sincerely believe that you are interested in learning, how to move your customers to the cloud, and you understand the business, your own business, in this type of the scenario when customer is in the cloud. But for those who are not interested, it would be very, very unlikely if they would help the customers to move to the cloud. Again, for those partners who are not absolutely sure how to earn your business, maybe in a different way than it was when serving the on-premise installations, you are also very much welcome to contact us. We have customer success managers who would be eager to discuss the cloud business model with you as well, so that you would be more ready and more capable of not only explaining the cloud benefits to your customers, but also continue earning and adding the value from your side. Now, there are some technical and business challenges when customers are moving to the cloud, no doubt about that. So first one, and probably one of the most frequent ones, is that the customer just cannot migrate to the latest version. Say they have the version, I don't know, of 3 years ago, they have purchased it 3 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and for some reasons, they cannot migrate to the latest version. And I'm sure you know that if you are in the cloud, in the BC Online, you must use the latest version of BC Online. You cannot use that, a much earlier version that you may be using, right? So some of the customers, they cannot migrate to the latest version. There can be several reasons for that. It can be that it is too expensive to migrate to the latest version, right? It can be that they don't have the budget this year, but maybe they are planning to have the budget, I don't know, in the next year, in 3 years, to migrate to the latest version. It can be that some of the integrations that they use, they are not compatible with the latest version, and it would take some investments for them to prepare to move to the latest version. But still, the fact is, if the customer is somewhat stuck on the previous version, then it's definitely harder for them to move to the latest version. The second very common reason, which is becoming not that common to be honest, is that the partner solution is not yet cloud ready. So in the Microsoft Dynamics world, I believe this is definitely a strength of this ecosystem. There are so many vertical solutions built by partners to customers, so many great vertical solutions. Some of them, for some good reasons, are not yet cloud ready, right? Whether the partner didn't have enough focus or capacity or resources to make it cloud ready, or maybe it's it's just serving the customers well enough, and there is no point to make it cloud ready. But since the customers are using that not cloud ready partner solution, and in many cases this partner solution is the big value add to their business, it is very unlikely for them to move to the cloud if this solution is not cloud ready. The third one is related to the upgrades, right? So when you are in the online, in the cloud version, you must basically upgrade every release, every half a year, so to say. You are enforced by the vendor, so that you would be constantly upgrading pretty much every half a year. Fair to say that if you do that so frequently, like every half a year, it should not be that complicated as it was if you are upgrading, every 5 years or every 10 years, right? So if you are constantly maintaining your solution as a partner, so it should not be so complicated to upgrade every half a year. But still, it might be complicated, right? So in that sense, if you as a partner or the customer are not committed to upgrade that frequently, even with those small steps, then it is a problem. Then it is definitely a problem to use the cloud offering as it is. And the last one, in many cases, it's still in the majority of the cases, customers have some kind of the hybrid infrastructure, right? It's still not very usual that all the infrastructure customer has, it's run from the cloud. In many cases, there are some still on-premise integrations. There are still some, I don't know, third-party hardware or software that needs to be integrated. And in some cases, it's just not possible to integrate with a let's say cloud version. Of course, now if the stuff that you need to integrate is modern and using web services and technologies like that, it's probably possible and easy. But in some cases, customers that are stuck on-premise, they probably have some on-premise integrations as well that are basically stopping them to move to the cloud. Right. So that are the most common reasons that we see from our point of view, both business and technical, when customers are facing some showstoppers or challenges moving to the cloud. So, but now I would like to open one more survey to double check your experience. What are the most typical or the most annoying, or the most problematic challenges that you face when discussing your customer migration to the cloud? So we will run now the second survey, and just select as many as you want. And I'll give a moment for you to answer, and we'll see whether our findings, working with basically almost 1,000 partners of Dynamics partners around the world, are similar to those which you are facing. Okay, I'll give a moment for you to answer. I see that some of the answers are started coming. All right. Okay, so I see quite a few answers already. The distribution is something that is not surprising me too much. The biggest showstopper is that the solution is not ready for the cloud. As I said, for many Dynamics customers, this partner solution it's probably the cornerstone of the ERP installations. And without that, the installation of BC or an AV, if you have the older version, would not make much sense, because that's the fundamental of the value that ERP installation provides. There are some other cloud limitations that you see that customers are facing, no doubt about that. Although I must say that those cloud limitations are getting smaller with every release of BC Online. As an example, right, a couple of years ago, if you had a customer who has a big database, for them it was extremely costly, or if not possible, to move to the cloud. Now this barrier is so much removed. So as just an example, so that those technical limitations are getting smaller, but they are still there. I see that, still the total cost of ownership is something that is sometimes hard to convince the customer. Upgrades, also 12% of you are saying that cannot upgrade, or too frequent upgrades. I'm a bit surprised that the security is not that much of a concern, only 8% of you. It's good to hear that, because it's been a topic for quite a while. So we see that it's losing a little bit of traction, and we also have some other showstoppers like performance and others that you have mentioned. But nevertheless, I'm glad that that most of you have faced pretty similar ones that we had, and let's talk how can we help to overcome those challenges. So as I have shown, there are many problems, and you have answered that there are many problems for the customers not to move to the cloud, but still I believe many customers, they want to go to the cloud. They don't want to have the hardware anymore. They don't want to deal with the maintenance. They want to know the scalability, the flexibility of the cloud. Maybe they want the security level that is coming from the cloud versus their own security investments, right? So there are customers who might be stuck, but they still want the cloud, right? So what can we do about it in this situation? So the one thing that is done by, well, some of the customers and some of the partners is just doing nothing, right? Well, there are so many showstoppers. Maybe the cloud is not yet good for me as a customer. What will I do? I will do nothing. I mean, the ERP is maybe up and running at the satisfactory level. Maybe I will just wait for a couple of years, and maybe the situation will be different, and we'll see. Yeah, this is always an option, but probably is not the optimal one. So when you wait, well, you will still be missing, those cloud benefits, as we already discussed. But what can we else do rather than wait, right? And we can well, as a partners, since the majority of you are the partners, we can do a lot of things, right? So first of all, we shall not be in the position that we have to push the cloud no matter what, right? Definitely, there are some benefits of the cloud. There are some challenges that the customer is facing. So we need to understand those challenges and see for the solution, not just blindly, say, go to cloud and everything will be solved, right? That's just simply not true. So understanding the reasons behind and building the trust with a customer is just a fundamentally first step that needs to be done. Then life is not black and white, and the cloud is also not just cloud or not cloud, right? So there are a few options available, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So there are options, not only doing nothing, but also additional options. And one of the well, it's definitely connected with the options, is some kind of the compromise, right? Some kind of the hybrid scenario when maybe customer is using cloud in that workload and maybe not using cloud in another workload. Maybe they are using some of the applications in the cloud, some of them not in the cloud. So hybrid scenarios is something that many or most of the customers would be very much interested to discuss with you guys, and think of whether it is feasible for them to use this hybrid scenario. So one of the options. Yeah, explain TCO. I see that there are some challenges explaining TCO, so I believe we'll do a separate webinar about that. But no matter benefits you imagine are in the cloud, if the customer is not able to basically see that financially, that would be very hard to explain, to move them to the cloud. As I said, no, the TCO calculations in many cases with a customer, there are a couple of things neglected, right? So one of them is basically the additional capacity that customer would have with their own people to do something else, something good, some value add, and the second one is security. So if basically one tip on the TCO calculation, do not stuck in the TCO calculations that is server price versus the cloud monthly payment price and compare it in 3 years time frame, right? That would not lead anywhere, right? So TCO, it means total TCO. That would mean and hardware and maintenance and software and support and electricity and real estate maybe in some cases, and people resources, investments into people competences, security investments, so many other things. So just don't be stuck into the simple hardware versus no monthly payment discussion. So in many cases, you as a partner, you have some knowledge in certain vertical area. Maybe you have a solution, and maybe your solution is still not cloud compatible. So we definitely encourage to find a partner. Once again, the partner can be some value-added partner like us, like Companial are, where we basically provide a lot of services to our partners, whether it's the upgrades, whether it's some development, maybe it's a hosting in the cloud, maybe some trainings, maybe some consulting, licensing, you name it. Or it can be the fellow Dynamics partner that maybe is basically virtually sitting side by side in this webinar. So we definitely encourage this community building, and usually Dynamics partner community is very strong in terms of like cooperation. So our advice is for you to specialize in the things that you do well. And if you're stuck with, say, upgrades, find a partner who is specialized in upgrades, right? Or if your value add is the consulting and you have some challenges in development, well, partner with ones who are specialized in the development, or the ones who are specialized in explaining the cloud technologies, and so on. So just don't be the universal one-stop shop for everything. So specialization is definitely something that is helping many partners to move their customers to the cloud. Never forget security. As I said, security is still the option, although I see that the security concerns is getting lower nowadays, but still don't forget to talk with a customer about the security and their investments into the security versus the cloud vendor investments. So, but if to look into one tip from my experience is just don't force the customer to move to the cloud at one batch if they are facing many problems, right? If they have many of those challenges that we have discussed before. So some step-by-step strategy to move the customer to the cloud, and step-by-step cloud adoption helps a lot. Make the first step, then you will do the second step, and then you will do the third step, and so on. Now, for those who are not very clear, what are those steps mean, right? So what is the step-by-step cloud adoption? What is that? Let's look further. Yeah, so we'll look further and we'll discuss the options that are available from the cloud adoption point of view. So this is how we see the step-by-step cloud adoption, right? So this should be split into the phases, right? So maybe you will start not from the full cloud BC Online adoption, but maybe step by step with some of the preparation, making the first step and making the second step, while you show the customer the roadmap, their customer migration roadmap, when they will basically and in which steps they will go to the cloud. And the cloud migration roadmap, it can look like that, right? So what we see, definitely there are maybe like three approaches for the cloud adoption, or for the BC Online adoption, right? So the first one is direct to SaaS, direct to BC Online, which is well utilized by many, if not the most of the customers. So they upgrade to the newest Business Central. They move their modifications to the extensions, and they move to and then migrate to BC Online. Well, this is pretty straightforward. For those who are doing this type of the migrations, probably you don't have much of the questions, and probably you're not facing those issues moving your customers to the cloud. So life is simple for you, right? For others who are facing those issues, there are two other ways, right? The middle one, which we see very frequently, is some kind of a phased approach. So the first phase is basically to upgrade to the version that is cloud compatible. So you upgrade your customer to the version which is cloud compatible, and then you move your on-premise customer installation to Azure, to Azure, which is basically which will become the on-premise version that is hosted on Azure. So very few changes are needed on the customer side. They would still be using on-premise version. They would still be using the on-premise solution, vertical solution that might not be ready for the cloud. But they would be already utilizing the cloud benefits, like no hardware cost, maintenance, security, pay-per-use, and so on. And once in this hosted Azure cloud, they will start, utilizing those benefits as such. In the meanwhile, you as a partner, together with the customer, you will probably be preparing for the migration to BC Online. Preparation in many cases is it might be the upgrade to the latest version. It might be the solution upgrade to the latest version, to the cloud version, and then moving to extensions, right? So it maybe takes some time. So we as a Companial, we host more than 1,000 customers on our Azure platform, right? So we help the partners around the world to utilize this type of the scenario. And we see definitely some of the customers moving to our platform. They get ready to the BC Online. In most of the cases, they upgrade their solution, and then they move to BC Online to SaaS. Customer is not waiting. They're utilizing some of the benefits of the cloud. They don't have any more hardware. They are provisioned by the partner like yours. They're using the platform that's in this case built by us, and it's pretty easy to use, and then they migrate to BC Online. Well, some customers they go for the third way, probably the most complicated ones. They move to Azure. They use those cloud benefits that they get from hosted cloud, and they stay on this hosted cloud until they will be ready for the BC Online. I'm pretty sure they will migrate to BC Online sooner or later. It's just maybe they are the situation is a bit more complicated, and they don't have the exact time frame when they will do it, but they're already utilizing benefits of the cloud, and they will migrate to the BC Online. So basically, many of the customers and many of the partners, when they face the situation when there are some challenges moving to the cloud, and again, typical one, cannot upgrade, solution is not ready, some technical cloud limitations, they basically raise hands and say, well, cloud is not for you. Let's stay as it is, and maybe we'll come back to this question after a couple of years. So the tip is here: show the options to the customer. Think of whether it makes sense, maybe to start utilizing some hybrid approach. Say, as in this example, move to some hosted environment. Well, definitely from our point of view, we definitely want to offer the Azure environment that we're offering to our partners, and we're probably the biggest type of the hoster in the world of that kind of the scenario of NAV BC hosted NAV or Business Central. It can be other hosting provider, no doubt about that. So you're not stuck onto one provider. But think about these options, show those options to the customer, discuss that, make your calculations, and see whether it makes sense. From our point of view, it makes sense in many cases. That's why we still see a lot of customers choosing this way. Well, of course, most of the customers, they're able to go to the cloud directly, but for those who are not able to go to the cloud that fast, they don't have to be stuck on-prem. They can move to this hybrid approach. So this is one of the I would say the biggest tips. Trying to get your customers closer to the cloud and utilize the cloud benefits. All right. So if you are a Dynamics partner or the customer and you're interested in this hybrid way, you basically have a couple of options, right? You can set up and host this hybrid cloud platform or the infrastructure yourself, which is possible. It just takes a lot of time and investment. Or you can partner with some competent cloud platform provider. Well, one of them, no shame to say that, it's us, Companial. You can definitely partner with us. Well, maybe you have another cloud platform partner that you trust and you can work on that. From our experience is that Dynamics partners, most of you guys, you don't like to be involved into the infrastructure conversations. So my advice is find a partner who is able to basically get you covered on this conversation. And by the way, setting up and hosting the hybrid cloud platform yourselves versus using the specialized platform. We did a webinar earlier this year, so I believe some recording is available. So for those who are doubt which way to choose, we'll be able to share this recording with you guys. So those are the two options, right? But if you are thinking about building it yourself, or you are selecting the partner for those hybrid hosted environments, make sure you discuss those important questions with your partner, or well, with yourself if you are planning to do so. So like infrastructure configuration, monitoring, backup, security, installation in the cloud. Last but not least, SLA to the customer as something very important topics that needs to be addressed if you decide to go that way. On the other side, you can definitely contact us, and we'll be able to have this conversation with you. How can we help in this situation? Last but not least, you remember I told that never forget security when talking about the cloud. So yes, never forget security. Again, if your customer is thinking that their server is more secure, that the one is in the cloud, you're always welcome to share the certifications that service providers are basically having. So this is just an example on the Azure certifications that they have around the world. I have no clue about some of what those certifications mean. I understand some of them, but definitely impressive amount of the certifications, both global and local ones, what Microsoft Azure as a service provider is holding. On the other side, if you go with some hosted offering, it's not only Azure or data center security certificates that matter. It also matters the exact hosting service providers, whether they have the security certifications, right? So no doubt, the ones who are serious about, they will have the security certifications. And last but not least, talk with your customer about their own security investments and certifications. Some of the customers, they have some policies, and they're very, very, I would say, serious about security. Maybe some of the customers even have their own security certifications of information security management system or something like that. Very well. For those who don't have, well, they probably it makes a good sense for them to partner with those providers that have those security investments, and the security investments might be pretty costly. I'm sure. So with that, I would like to wrap up. So we discussed basically what are the cloud benefits. We discussed and we double checked to know what are the key challenges that you are facing when talking with your customers. We shared some of the tips where you can basically use to overcome those challenges. So if your solution is not ready for the cloud, or the customer cannot upgrade, think of this hybrid cloud phased approach, or if you have some other technical limitations as well, that could be an option for you as well. The total cost of ownership, don't forget to include total cost, not only the server price. Security concerns, maybe not that much of the interesting anymore, but still something that is very, very, very beneficial to talk. So with that, we are getting to the end of the webinar. So there are a couple of call to actions. So for those who are interested in the services that we as a Companial provide, we also can provide the hosted environment for your customers. So feel free to write us at service@companial.com. We may give you a trial of our Azure platform, so you could basically play around and see whether this makes sense for you. We provide a lot of other services by Companion, and there is also I believe there's also a handout in the handout section of this webinar where you can download the different options moving Dynamics customers to the cloud. Hope you find it beneficial and basically see if it makes sense. So if interested, contact us at service@companial.com. We may provide some demo or trial for you. Download the handout, and yeah, please contact us whenever possible. All right. We have one question in the chat. Can we host any NAVBC? Some of the customers that are difficult to move to the cloud. Frederick is asking us that. So no, not every NAVBC you can host. Basically, NAV 2015 is the earliest version that is possible to host in the proper way. So if you have something earlier than NAV 2015, then well, I would suggest you upgrading it. If you have NAV 2015 or later, pretty much we can host it. So Frederick, if you're interested, write to us to service@companial.com, and we'll be able to continue this conversation. All right, so I don't have any more questions. Once again, thank you for participating in this webinar. Hope you found those tips and tricks useful. Let us know whether it makes sense or maybe you would like to discuss something deeper. So write to us at service@companial.com. We'll pick it up every email, every question there. And yeah, and we'll see how can we help you, as we're helping almost 1,000 Dynamics partners around the world in their customer journey to the cloud. So with that, thank you again for participating. We're 2 minutes over the time. I wish you the good rest of the day, and we'll see you in the next webinars.